Wander Wealthy Podcast, episode 99 with Katy Conicella. Well, hello there. Welcome all of you to the Wander Wealthy Podcast. Welcome back if you're a returning listener. For those who are new, my name is Tess Wicks. I am the host of this show, founder of Wander Wealthy, and I love helping women get more money, build more wealth, save more of their money, and have a better relationship with their money. So today, we're actually going to be diving into a little bit of that relationship standpoint. I'm interviewing Katy Conicella, who is the co-founder of Bulldog Yoga. It is an in-studio and on-demand streaming yoga subscription company that is revolutionizing the industry. So it's unlike any other yoga community out there. It's full of smiles and music and free from the chanting and the judgments and any instructions in Sanskrit, which I know not all of us always understand, especially if you're going into the yoga studio for the first time and you're like, what is this word that they're telling me to do? It's totally different. They say Bulldog truly is yoga, but rebooted. So that's a little bit about her business, but I also wanted to bring Katy on the show because I really felt like she could offer a different perspective from a lot of my interviews that I do. It's generally with people who are in the financial space. And I wanted to, get talking about some other things. And Katy can really bring her expertise around mindfulness and meditation and sharing her personal story about money, what it was like growing up, and how she has worked a lot with mindfulness and changing the way that she feels about money and understanding and identifying, scarcity versus abundance mindset, and how she's still a work in progress. And so I love that she was willing and able to be open and honest with us, because not everyone is at the perfect point in their money relationship, and we're all very much still building. This is where I am personally a work in progress, is getting more comfortable with doing a regular mindfulness practice, because I know how incredibly powerful it can be. I've used it to shift other things in my past, and now it's kind of using it to shift the feelings of needing to live up to these expectations that I'm putting on myself, but also externally. So a little tangent there, but I just wanted to tell you why I'm so excited to bring Katy on and share this interview with you, because it does give those tips and tricks and tactics, and her advice about just spending 2 minutes, not thinking you need to spend 20 minutes and do it all the time, is really nice to hear. Also, it again takes that external pressure off. So we're not going to babble anymore. Let's get right into this interview. It's episode 99. Can you believe it? And I am joined by Katy Conicella. All right, Katy, welcome to the Wander Wealthy Podcast. I'm super excited to have you on the show. And to be honest, you're rather different compared to some of the other guests that I've interviewed, but I jumped at this opportunity because I love getting different, fun, unique perspectives of different women who are succeeding in their world of their career and their business, and also be able to talk a little bit about the money stuff, which is something maybe you probably don't talk a lot about.
Sure, yeah. Well, Tess, it's great to be on. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be chatting with you today.
Yes. So for those who are not aware of you, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, and maybe just your whole story of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, of course. So Bulldog Yoga is a yoga brand that we created almost 3.5 years ago. And the intention behind Bulldog Yoga was to make yoga more fun, more accessible to people who typically would be perhaps intimidated by the traditional elements of a yoga practice or of a typical yoga studio, which I always like to caveat that I personally respect and honor and enjoy that part of yoga. But from a business standpoint, we recognized a really big need in the marketplace to make it more lighthearted, to really put some fun, cool playlists to it, to take out all the Sanskrit, so no Sanskrit language. All of the teachers at Bulldog Yoga are trained to teach in just English words. And that's really the high level, what the brand is, who we are. And it's been very well received, and it's exciting. It's really cool to hear feedback from people who typically would not have stepped foot into a yoga studio share with us how they feel because of the Bulldog practice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us how you got into yoga in the first place, and then how you got to building a business and a brand.
So yoga, I got into, oh my goodness, over 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I was just an athlete my whole life, and after college was running a lot and just realized I needed some relief. Me and my muscles needed some like tender loving care, some stretching. But actually the first class I took was a power yoga class. So it was heated and lots of cardio and strength and stretching all wrapped into one. And it was magic. I mean, it spoke to the inner athlete in me, where I felt like I just got a killer workout, but also felt so opened and released and fantastic. So that's where my yoga journey started. And then from there, it just snowballs. You just keep going, you keep feeling amazing. And then you're like, well, I could teach this. And so I signed up for a yoga teacher training. And then one thing led to another. But I actually the Bulldog brand was never really a plan of mine. It kind of serendipitously happened. And one of my good friends introduced me to John, who it was his idea to make yoga more fun. And I met with him and he pitched me this idea. And I said, yeah, of course we can do that. I can get on board to build this with you. And that's what we did.
Very cool. I love that you say you took the Sanskrit and just like the foreign language out of it and made it accessible to everyone. I feel like that's such a good relation to the money world as well, because there's so many in their English words even, but people are still like, don't talk to me in those terms because I don't understand them. And it's intimidating to get into something new and feel like you can not only get into it, but also feel like you can master it in your own way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I'd love you to take us back to childhood, and we're going to start getting into some money stuff here. One thing that I love to do with my guests is just understand their money stories and where they come from in terms of money. And this is a no judgment zone, but just sharing, what was money like for you growing up, and what did you learn and what did you not learn, maybe from your parents or your peers, that has impacted your relationship with money today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a good question. And I feel like most things, it all goes back to childhood, right? Where we just instilled in us. So I come from a big family. There's 6 kids in my family, and my father's an entrepreneur, has his own business. I've been babysitting since I was like 11 or 12. So I've always been making money and figuring out a way how to make money, because having 5 siblings, even though I did grow up in a very comfortable situation, we still, if we wanted something, we'd have to work for it and put it in the bank and save and buy it, etc. So I think from a very young age, I saw that work ethic in my father and the way my parents raised us to really value money. But I also, unfortunately, was exposed to scarcity, where I think my parents have a scarcity mindset about money. Mm-hmm. And they're not unique in that way. I think a lot of people do have that. And I think that depends on the era that you grew up in and what you were exposed to. But it's very interesting when you look at the energetics of money. If you attach a lack or scarcity mindset to it, that's all you're going to have in life, to a certain extreme. But if you're able to switch your relationship to abundance, and money is a good thing and it's energy, and you can do a lot of good with money, and you can help people with money, and you can live the life you want with money, like that positive connotation and relationship with money just brings more of it into your life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I love getting into this talk.
Oh, no, it's so cool. But I'll be honest, that's not the mindset of the household I grew up in, and I still see it with them today and the way they approach money. And it's a shame, but you can't change anybody else's relationship with anything, and especially with money. And once you just almost like to learn to detach from it and know that it's there as a means to an end, and either detach from it or really establish a positive relationship with it, and then you'll see some things shift in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this will get us into the tangible tips round, but before we go in there, I'd love to just know, for people who might not be able to identify what scarcity around money would be, what were some patterns that maybe you had, like ways that you thought that you were like, oh crap, this is scarcity, or maybe that, you also see in your family when you go back?
It always came back to money, and always came back to attaching meaning with money. And I did this, and I've got to work harder now to get more money, because you're so, it's honestly not, my experience is not very positive with my upbringing and money. I've had to teach myself to switch that, but it always came back to money, manipulation with money. I mean, all the stuff that like, I'm being really candid and raw right now, but stuff that's like not that pleasant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people who don't feel good when you have to think back to how money was growing up, or even getting really honest with yourself about the way you actually think about money, and maybe like a mask that you're putting on when you're just like operating in the here and now. And that can be really hard, but I love that you're able to identify that you've had like this exposure to a scarcity mindset, because I think that's the first step. In my exposure to yoga, there's a lot of talk about mindfulness and practicing mindfulness, as well as in some yoga studios also having like a meditation practice. Did that help you become more aware of the thoughts that you had about various aspects of your life, but also money?
Absolutely. And I love that question, because the reason I love talking about it especially is because it's something that everyone has access to, even if it's meditation and just sitting with your breath and tuning into yourself and rewiring your own brain through these practices of positive affirmations, thoughts, really established calculated breathing exercises, or just being on your mat and moving through poses to energetically just kind of shake things up and shift things around. All of those things I just mentioned have, without a doubt, helped me shift my relationship with money, and have helped me in general just detach from outcomes. And trust me, I am still that like type A, run a business girl. However, there's been a lot of shifts, even little things that have had a great impact on even my perspective or my approach to life.
And that's a really good point that you bring up, of when we think of mindfulness and practicing meditation, it's really like being willing to take the time and sit down and turn inwards, so to speak, but also being a business owner, having kind of like a type A. Do you find that you struggle, like, maybe you probably don't struggle because this is your business, but for some people thinking, I know I can attest to this, I feel like I'm so busy, I need to be doing these other things. How can I find the time to really get comfortable with practicing mindfulness and practicing meditation in the moment, when it's so easy to go, oh, I'll do that later, I need to get this thing done?
Yeah, just to go back a few seconds ago, I do struggle. I definitely have struggles. And I think we all do. It's just real. And, you can find the perfect formula that works for you to keep yourself balanced. But once you find what works for you, you don't go on autopilot. You have to commit to the discipline, to making time for it every day, and also knowing what is non-negotiable for you. So just taking control of your schedule and realizing that maybe what society or external forces are telling you with pressures and what has to get done now really doesn't have to get done now. And you're the one then prioritizing your list and timelines, and using even quiet time to take a step back so you can go more forward. And I know for me personally, whenever I feel a big shift coming in my life in general, a transition, I am on my yoga mat 2 or 3 times a day, because that works for me. That keeps me centered. That keeps me with a clear mindset. That helps me get really uncomfortable with any uncertainty that's arising in my life. And it really helps me just stay present and recognize that like all that matters is this present moment. And the way it's also translated to my finances and my budgeting and my saving and my buying patterns is that it's helped me be more forthright and more diligent and less impulsive. And
I feel like there's so much you can link the practice of mindfulness to your finances and your buying patterns. I mean, there's so many times where we operate in autopilot, and also you had mentioned there's so many external pressures on us in this society that we're living in, especially with like social media, and then thinking, I need that thing, I need to be doing this, like, oh, this person that I'm following has this, and this, and is doing all of these things. We feel like we're no longer connected to what we really want. Instead, we're operating under the expectations of what other people are putting out into the world almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is more simply said than done, right? Like all you need to do is tune in, like quiet your mind, turn your phone off. But when I say like that's all you have to do, it really is all you have to do. And if you want to commit to 2 minutes a day just to establish the practice, then just do 2 minutes. But I will tell anyone listening that if you make the commitment to even 2 minutes, you will start to feel and see the difference.
So, okay, I like this. 2 minutes. You sit down, you set your phone aside, and then what do? Close your eyes. Lead us through it a little bit.
Sure. Get into a comfortable seat, somewhere where you feel grounded and rooted and you have a straight spine, just so your energies are all nicely aligned. Sit down, close your eyes, and just focus on your inhales and your exhales. Maybe set a timer on your phone for 2 minutes. And in those 2 minutes, you are just focusing on every inhale and every exhale. And that's all. Even if you're saying inhale, exhale for those 2 minutes straight, that keeps your mind focused on the present task, which is just breathing.
Yes. That's so nice.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to think about anything else. I think that's a big problem for us, is that we're constantly thinking about so many things. And we're also, it's funny because we blame like social media for being a distraction, but we're picking it up because we're trying to distract ourselves from our own thinking, which is really bad.
Yeah, exactly. We're all fall prey to it, right? And it's like, another thing I like to also talk about is like, just be gentle with yourself. I think whenever we're trying to make a behavioral change or a shift in our day to day, you have to recognize that like, yeah, goals are awesome, and achieving goals, that's even more awesome. But we always have to remind ourselves that we are just human beings trying to do this thing called life. And some days we're going to be killing it. Other days we're going to feel like complete failures, but that's okay because that's what the human experience is. And when you are trying to establish new patterns and behaviors, take that gentleness approach with yourself and set up a realistic schedule, something that like can work for you. And if you miss it one day, like, all right, so what? Start over the next day. But try to take the judgment out of it with yourself and just try to enjoy the process and know that it's just all good stuff for you. And if you mess up, that's okay. You start again the next day.
Yeah. And I think everyone listening should go back and listen to that again, because it not only applies to, the practice of mindfulness and meditation, but also your finances. Also, if you're trying to get more fit, also, if you're trying to eat healthier, like literally there's so many things we're trying to accomplish in our lives that it's almost hard. We need to like focus on one by one in order to stay in it. But then if you mess up, it's not like it all went out the window. You're going to be fine. You can just get back on the next day.
Yeah. And I think even that tiny shift of accepting that thought and then being able to really practice it, that in and of itself will relieve stress from people's lives.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel more relaxed just listening to you telling me that it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Let's go into the money round. So this is where we get a little bit more personal with you and your money. I'd love to know how your relationship with money is today. What is it like? How do you operate around money?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not where I want it to be. I'm still building, and but in terms of my relationship with it, I'm really practicing and trying to detach from it as like it's just a means to an end. It's to be able to pay bills, to have experiences, to help other people. Of course, there comes times where I'm like, okay, I should probably not spend as much as I did last month, but I try. My relationship is a work in progress with money, because I try to live in the moment. It's okay, like treat yourself once in a while, but also like, okay, like gotta save and be very strategic and thoughtful about planning for the future, but also trying to maintain the mindset of like money is energy. Like the more you give, the more you get, and
Right.
I say that kind of candidly, loosely, but there is something to that whole thought process as well. So I'm still trying to evolve and hone my relationship with money, and there was so much worry and anxiety attached to it as a kid growing up with the household that I grew up in, that like I still notice those patterns of anxiety come up occasionally, and just being aware of it and knowing how to then just like let it go and reframe what money really is. And you really can't determine your own self-worth on your bank account, as we all know. But yeah, unfortunately, we live in a very materialistic society, and sometimes that happens. And that I'm really good at. I don't get caught up in that stuff. As much as I like to live a nice lifestyle, I don't get caught up in buying the latest and greatest. So my money's good there. It's more about just, I need to get better at saving, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point, though, about how you can't get your self-worth caught up with your net worth. And at the end of the day, as you said, money is a means to an end. It's a tool. And so really it has no meaning in terms of who you are. It's really just, whether you leverage it a certain way or not.
Right. Absolutely.
Thank you for being honest.
Oh, of course.
What is your current money plan? Meaning, how do you earn money? I know you're a business owner, building a business, so I'd love it if you would share, what that actually looks like. Because I think for some people, they're like, oh, she's a business owner. She just makes money this one way. But sometimes business owners, it can be complicated. So how are you earning money? And then what do you spend your money on?
It is complicated. I'm actually working on having some other revenue streams this year, so to be continued. But right now, it's just through Bulldog that I'm earning money. What do I spend my money on? Self-care. Honestly, like I do cryotherapy. I eat very well. I work out. I spend my money on rent. I have student loans still, so I'm still paying that off. I have a car payment, so it comes and goes. But where will I invest? I invest in my health. So I'm big into taking care of yourself so you can take care of other people and you can live your best life, and you have you can optimize your energy and your output. And that all starts with your sleep, your food, your activities, other, therapies that help you stay really fit and well.
Absolutely. And I think, right there, you walk your talk and your expenditures are very aligned with the person you are and the business that you're building and what you prioritize.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I try.
Random question. I've heard about cryotherapy. What are the benefits?
Oh my gosh, you've got to go. So you can Google a list of benefits. Overall, it's anti-inflammatory, anti-aging from the standpoint that it regenerates your cells, it resets your body, it completely shocks your body to regenerating new cells. You produce endorphins. I mean, it is something, anyone listening, please look into it. It is, yes, it sounds nuts because you are freezing your body for 3 minutes in this freeze tank. But the benefits of what it does to your internal system and to taking all inflammation. I mean, as we know, disease is all inflammation. And disease starts with inflammation. So, like I said, I eat a very anti-inflammatory diet. I don't eat sugars or refined carbs, none of that stuff. But also, just like from toxins in our environment, your body can get inflamed. So I do cryotherapy once a day for 3 minutes. And it's just one thing that I do. I also do a lot of hot yoga and I sweat and just like to keep my body nice and balanced, but it is a therapy that I have found that works, and I really do believe in it.
Cool. Yep, I'll have to check that out. What is your next big money goal?
I don't know. I'm on the record. I don't know. To be continued.
You are not the first or the second or the third or probably the 10th person to say that on this show. So do not worry about that. We're going to go into the quick and dirty Q&A round. These are just a couple fast-paced questions to wrap up the show. Before we get in, I just want to say thank you for being open and honest. I know that this is not the topic that you talk about every single day. So as easy as it is for me, I know it's not easy for most people. So thank you very much for going on the record and sharing your money story and how you make money and what you're spending on. So just wanted to say that.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
What is your most used app on your phone that isn't social media related?
I actually just deleted my social media apps about a few weeks ago, and that has been so wonderful. My most used app then would be probably, I love Sudoku, whatever it is, the numbers game.
Uh-huh.
So I love that game on my phone. I also use my email app, and I have a Headspace app for meditating.
Very appropriate for our topic today. What is one totally random thing that you just can't stop thinking about lately?
Ooh, oh my goodness. A beach vacation, I think.
Ooh, where?
I don't know, but I'm going to go with that because there's some other stuff I've been thinking about a lot recently. I don't think it's appropriate for this.
Okay, we'll just say inappropriate things.
Yeah, there we go. No, I could totally use a beach vacation. I'm ready for like a nice 85-degree day at the beach.
Oh, yeah. Who is your favorite person to follow on social media now that you don't have it anymore? Who was?
This is going to sound so crazy. Do you know Yumly, that like food one?
They like always have viral Facebook videos, don't they?
Yes, I'm not kidding you. I could get into like a black hole of watching their videos for like an hour plus. Like it's just so mesmerizing to me.
Yes.
It's so crazy how it's like fixating and like meditative. I'm like, oh my God, these food videos are so cool.
Who knew like shooting top-down videos of people making different recipes would be so intriguing?
That gets me. So that's my answer.
Very cool. What is one expense that you'll never cut from your budget?
Oh, eating well and taking care of my body.
And do you have a favorite? It doesn't have to be a money book unless you do have a money book, but like a favorite book that you always find yourself going back to.
The Tao Te Ching. Do you know about the Tao? The Tao.
No.
Oh, do you know Dr. Wayne Dyer? He passed away a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. He has, it is my favorite book. I have it on Audible too. It's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your World. And it's his interpretation of the Tao Te Ching. And it's just one of those books that it's awesome. I recommend to anyone and everyone. So that's my answer.
What is the Tao Te Ching?
It's the way, Taoteaching, 3 separate words. It's a Chinese classic text, which really is like the way of living life. And yeah, it's a fundamental text, pretty much on like Taoism, but it's really cool. It's really, the way that Wayne Dyer interprets it is so palatable and resonates with, I think, anyone. It's such a great listen or read.
Yeah. I know him because I think he said the quote, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yes, that's him.
There I am pulling quotes out of the sky.
There you go. You know, yeah.
Well, thank you. I have not heard of that book, so I'm going to check it out personally. Katy, thank you so much again for sharing all of your goodness around mindfulness and meditation and also getting real with us around money. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about where we can find you and also obviously Bulldog Yoga and what's going on with you guys next.
Sure. Well, thank you, Tess. It's been a great conversation. I really enjoyed sharing and having, thinking about being made to think about things a little bit differently or questions. I'm like, oh, wow. But to find Bulldog, Instagram Bulldog Yoga, at Bulldog Yoga, or if you want to try our online classes, we have an online platform with a bunch of great class options in our archives, and it's bulldogonline.com. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's just my first and last name, Katy Conicella, but I haven't been on in a while. I'll make a return sometime soon, maybe.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, Katy. This was so fun.
Thank you. This was fun, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
There you have it. That is episode 99 with Katy Conicella. If you guys want to get all of the deets from this episode, then go ahead and check out the show notes by going to wanderwealthypodcast.com/podcast/episode 99. I can't believe next week we're going to be on the 100th episode. We need to do something exciting. We'll figure that out. But speaking of something exciting, I have something new for you all. At the beginning of this year, I ran the Wealthy Life Challenge, which I said I was going to run again probably in April, but I have something else that I want to do before we do another round of the Wealthy Life Challenge. Last week, I was talking about the people that I find I have the most impact with. Those ladies out there who feel like they're making a lot of money or making money, just knowing they're making money. But at the end of the year or at the end of the day, they're like, I feel like I have nothing to show for it. I don't know how it got spent. I don't know what's going on. And you've tried. So if I'm speaking to you, then you know you've tried the apps, the Excel spreadsheets. You've kind of tried a little bit of everything, but you just feel like it's not working. And there's a lot of guilt and shame kind of tied up into this. It's the feeling of, I'm well educated, I should be able to figure this out. It seems like everyone else has this figured out, and yet they don't. So if you're feeling that you've been spinning your wheels around this whole financial thing for quite a long time, then I'm excited to tell you that the guilt-free spending system, it's an online workshop, totally virtual. We'll be meeting for a week doing classes around mindset and spending and building a system, at least introducing you to my system that really helps take things to the next level and makes it easy for you to manage your money in a way where you don't have guilt tied to it. Plus, you get to spend money guilt-free. So the system is what I use in my coaching, but I'm going to be doing a workshop starting on March 31st. If you're interested to learn more about the guilt-free spending system and what's going to be involved in this workshop, where we really tackle the brain and mindset and also actually some tactical techniques of how you can better manage your money, then you'll want to go to wanderwealthy.com/GFSS. You guys know that I like my abbreviations, and this is, or what is it? Acronyms, my acronyms, and this is for guilt-free spending system. So I'll link it in the show notes. I'll link it in the description of your podcast player, but just go check it out. Right now, I'm offering just the chance to get signed up for the wait list. However, because the first class is going to be on March 31st, that means early next week, I will actually be opening the cart. But I wanted to offer a wait list so you could get on and be one of the first to know when it does launch. Spots are limited, so obviously getting on the wait list will help you get in the doors fast. Also, coaching. If you have questions for me, if you have things you need to solve, if you are looking for a community of people who are kind of going through the same process and the same struggles as you are, then this is going to be the place to go. So wanderwealthy.com/GFSS for guilt-free spending system. You can check it out and get on the wait list at the very least. I can't wait to see you then, and I can't wait to get started with this new workshop. All right, that's it from me today. I hope you are all having a wonderful week, and until next week, I hope you wander wealthy.